Sundar ki, Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, our beloved spiritual bosses, Divine Lord Krishna Prabhupada ki, Ananta Kodi Vaishnava ki, please give me a blessing ki, Jai Gopal Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaः. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapanantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savidyutam Paridhana Chaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Pri Vancha Kalpatra Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Asadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So nice to see you. Hope you have a good weekend last week. So we're going to continue reading the introduction of Bhagavad Gita and discuss. And last week we were just reading something about material nature. What is material nature? inferior nature. And then the living entity is also explained. What is the living entity is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Huh? Superior nature. Because the living entity is eternal by nature and the material nature is temporary. And Prakriti or material nature or Prakriti is always under control, isn't it? We explained that too. And what was the example that Prabhupada gives? What example Prabhupada gives in the material world? The Lord controls material nature. But what example Prabhupada gives in the material planet? What controls what? The activities of a wife that is controlled by the husband. But nowadays it is the other way around. The wife controls the husband. Right? But Prakriti is always subordinate. And the Lord controls everything. Both the living entities and material nature are controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But unfortunately, due to our foolishness, we think we are the controllers. And that is why, due to the controlling mentality, we are struggling in the material world. But what is our real position? Are we controllers? What are we? Servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And then we spoke about material nature is constituted by three modes, or the three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Goodness, passion and ignorance. Give him a big hand, please. And then we spoke about Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. What is the 5 subject matter we're going to deal with in the whole of Bhagavad Gita? Ishvara, that is the Supreme Lord. You can repeat Ishvara. The Supreme Lord. Another one?
Karma.
Yes, karma. Everyone repeat karma.
Karma.
Activity.
Activity.
And then another one?
Kala.
Kala. Everyone repeat kala.
Kala.
Eternal time.
Eternal time.
Another one? Prakriti. Everyone repeat Prakriti.
Prakriti.
Nature.
Nature.
And then one more. Huh? Yes, don't forget yourself. Say Jiva,
Jiva.
the living entity.
The living entity.
These are the 5 subject matter in Bhagavad Gita. And this will be discussed in the whole of Bhagavad Gita. That is, Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, Prakriti, nature, Kala, eternal time, and Karma, activity. And you will see how everything is interrelated with each other and how it works with each each other, and how the Lord is in control of everything. That will be explained. And out of these five, the Lord and the living entities and material nature and time are temporary. Huh? 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 The Lord, again, out of these five, the Lord, the living entities, material nature and time are temporary.
The Lord is not.
No, all is eternal except for karma. Because karma you can
Change.
get rid of karma. But the rest is eternal by nature. But when Prakriti manifests, it is temporary. But it is not false. It's not false. But it just mentioned here, material nature is eternal. How is that? Because it is divine by nature. You know, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this divine nature, which is very difficult to overcome, consists of the three modes of material nature. This nature is Krishna's energy. Therefore it is eternal by nature. But in the material world, when the Lord creates with that energy, it's only temporary, but it's not false. Just like you're sitting here in this body, is this body false? It is not false. There is a mistaken identity by the Mayavadis. They think it is false. This whole creation is false. It does not exist. Then what we can do, I saw many Mayavadis coming to our temple. They come and take prasad in the restaurant. But they say everything is false, it does not exist. Why are they taking the prasad? If it is false, they say, no, it does not exist, I won't eat. But they eat, enjoy it. And that's how they mislead everybody, the living entities. They mislead them. They say that this does not exist. It exists, but it is temporary. But if the Lord wants Himself, He can make it eternal. Because this is His eternal nature, as explained here. I just mentioned. It's coming from Him. When He manifests this in the material world, His nature, then He transforms us into temporary nature. And Prabhupada gave a good example. It's like this: if an ordinary man, he takes electricity, he can convert electricity into heat. He doesn't give you fire, he burns stove, everything. And he can have, through the same electricity, man can transform into cold to give you the ice. What is that? Your refrigerator. No? If ordinary man can do that, why the Lord can't do that with His energy? Make that energy temporary in the material world. Because the Lord is all powerful, He can do anything, isn't it? So that is how we can defeat the Mayavadis in trying to tell them that this is not false, but it is temporary. And it's mentioned here, the manifestation of the world is not accepted as false. It is accepted as real, but temporary. Right? And then, what is the position of Ishvara? His consciousness, his inferior consciousness. Huh?
No.
Is the Supreme Lord's consciousness inferior?
No.
No. The position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, is that of superior consciousness. I'm just trying to trick you to check where we are. And don't forget. And the Jivas, we are all independent.
No.
Huh? Huh?
Dependent.
Yes, we are dependent. Why? Huh? No, but yeah, more than that. We are all parts and parcels of the Lord. Therefore, we are dependent on the Supreme Person of God, being part and parcel. And they are also consciousness. If the Lord is conscious, He is complete consciousness. And we also, being part and parcel of the Lord, we are conscious. We are not unconscious. Both the living entity and material nature are explained as Prakriti. Is explained as nature. Right? One is material and the other is spiritual. The energy of the Supreme Lord, but one of the two, the Jiva, is conscious. The other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. That means material nature is not conscious. Matter. Is it conscious? Matter, we discussed that. Matter is not conscious. But Jiva, the other Prakriti, which is also nature, both are nature. One is conscious and the other is not conscious. That's the difference between material nature and spiritual nature. Okay. And also it is explained that the Supreme Person of Godhead is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as a controller, and that He is giving direction for the living entity to act as He desires. So everything that we do in the material world is directed by the Lord according to your desire. If you do anything that you desire, the Lord gives it. The Lord gives you that direction. Why? Because you're part and parcel of the Lord. The Lord is an independent being, and because the Lord is an independent being, and you being part and parcel of the Lord, you have minute independence. So that is why the Lord, whatever you desire, the Lord will fulfill your desire. If He doesn't do that, that means independence has no meaning. That is why the Lord gives you that, because of that independence, whatever you do and whatever you want to do, the Lord fulfills your desire. He doesn't stop you from anything. But don't forget, He never takes the blame. If something goes wrong in your life, never blame God. God is so kind, He said, I'll give you what you want. And then whatever happens is your fault. Because I told you not to do that, but you did it. I allowed you because you wanted it. Okay, and then we're going to start a new paragraph. Is it clear so far? Right. Starting another paragraph. The Supreme Consciousness, Ishvara, is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. And I think I told you last week about this, that you and I are also just like Krishna. Krishna is a complete whole. We are parts and parcels, minute. But both the Lord and the living entity, they are transcendental. Very, very important. That is. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is the false interpretation of the atheistic scientists. They say that life comes from matter. Can life come from matter? Not possible. This table is here. It is matter. Now ask this table to give life. You can challenge anyone, even the most intelligent person. The greatest scientist, ask this table to give some consciousness. So that is why Prabhupada, I said last week too, that Prabhupada wrote a book called Give her a big hand. Yes. Not life comes from matter. He wrote a book called Life Comes from Life. It doesn't come from matter. It is a life which actually moves matter, sets it into motion. That's what life does, or consciousness does. Just like you are conscious in this body, now you can, because you have consciousness, you can push this table. But you bring a dead body and place it here and ask the dead body to push the table. Will the dead body push the table? No matter what you do, you can chop the body, you can do what you do to it. It will never move because it is dead matter. And that is the difference between consciousness and matter. Right? Is that clear? Or it is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is a mistaken idea. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to read that again. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in Bhagavad Gita. It is foolish to think like that. And even in our schools, they teach us matter comes together and they form consciousness. How is that possible? Something that is dead can give life. And that is what defeats the whole purpose of material education. And that is why Prabhupada called material education. Anybody knows what Prabhupada called material education? Huh? Anybody? He called material education a slaughterhouse education. Why? Why did he call it a slaughterhouse education? Because in material life, they actually destroy consciousness. In other words, they slaughter the spiritual activity of any living entity. Therefore, it is a slaughterhouse education. But there is nothing wrong with material education. But they should actually teach both side by side, both material and spiritual, that this body is matter, and within this matter there is consciousness that moves this matter. That they do not teach. They leave that all completely in schools. So therefore that education is incomplete. It's not complete education. So this Bhagavad Gita as it is, that Prabhupada has given us, it is complete knowledge. Srila Prabhupada ki. Therefore we have to be very grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Actually it would be very nice if they can actually make Bhagavad Gita as it is a subject matter, even in schools. People will get good education and we won't get problems that we are getting today. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances or material composition is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color, but the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. You can explain that a little. The Prabhupada is mentioning here that the theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances. It's like our soul, which is spiritual, is actually covered by this material body. That is why we think it is perverted. Just like, for example, Prabhupada is giving here, if light is shown through a red glass, light is always bright. But if it's shown through a colored glass, like a red or a blue glass, it will reflect that color, isn't it? So similarly, like that, when consciousness is covered by material nature, it reflects that, it gives that reflection as if that consciousness comes from matter. And that is the mistake that the scientists make, or the material scientists, they make that mistake. Because the soul is within the body, they cannot see the body, the soul. So it has become covered. And due to that covering, it is reflected as matter. We think that is matter. But in reality, Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us that matter and spirit is separate from each other. Although the soul is within the body, it's still separate from this body. Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshana Prakriti. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. So the Lord, when the Lord is, why the Lord doesn't get materially affected? What? Yes, he is completely transcendental by nature. The Lord is not material by nature. Therefore, when the Lord comes into the material world, he is not affected by material nature. Like just now we're going to celebrate Krishna Janmashtami. And Lord Krishna appeared in this material world 5,000 years ago. This material world. But he was not affected by material nature. And we can speak a little about that on Krishna Janmashtami. Just continue a little bit more. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters, as he does in Bhagavad Gita. Because anybody who is materially affected cannot speak on transcendental matters. They'll only speak on material matter. One cannot say anything about transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So if you are materially contaminated, you cannot say anything about transcendental matter or spiritual nature. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. That is why we are like that. We have so much of problem, so much of difficulty, and we cannot explain ourselves what is this difficulty and how to get out of this difficulty. That is why Bhagavad Gita has been spoken by Lord Krishna, how to get out of this contamination. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. I just said that. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of the Ishvara, and that will make us happy. So now you know why you are not happy. Why you are not happy? People in the material world are not happy. Why? I just read that now. Because we are materially contaminated or materially affected. Once you take on a material body, you are contaminated. Right? So that taking on a body is not happiness, is unhappiness. That is our difficulty. Because through this body, you know that. I don't have to explain that. We have so many difficulties, isn't it? Through this body, so many problems, so much of misery. But yet, we think we are very powerful. We want to be controllers. That is an unfortunate circumstances for us. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of the Ishvara, and that will make us happy. So if you, although you got the material body, you dovetail. Dovetail means turn everything to Krishna. Everything that you have, use it in Krishna's service. If you have a Mercedes Benz, use it in Krishna's service. Don't use it for your material sense gratification. If you got a huge bank balance, use it in Krishna's service. To do some nice things like Henry Ford, your grandson. And what did he do with his money? With his,
Temple in Mayapur.
Temple in Mayapur, give him a big hand, yeah. TOVP. And he used all that money and he fulfilled the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So we can use it in Krishna. If you don't want it, give it to me. I can use it in Krishna's service. Rather, our activities are to be purified. And purified activities are called bhakti. When our activities are purified, it is called bhakti, means we are engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities. You notice that people might be thinking, we do so many things, all just like them, but it is not ordinary. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, or such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter, because activities in bhakti or devotional service is pure. It is not contaminated. Only out of ignorance, the ignorant person will see it by you. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. Bhakti is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. And what are the three modes of material nature? Just testing. Yes, very good. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. We should know, however, that at this point, our consciousness is contaminated. Why our consciousness is contaminated? Yes, we took on a material body. We took on a material body. So as soon as you take on a material body, you become contaminated, we are called, what it is, what we are called, when we are material contaminated.
Maya has taken over you.
Yes, Maya, but what's a single word? We are conditioned. We are conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. That's when we become false. When you take on a material body, that is called false ego. You know, we talk about false ego. As soon as we take on a material body, that is false ego. Because we are acting on the bodily platform and not on the spiritual platform. So therefore, when we understand this, and then when we act upon that, then although within the body we are acting transcendentally on the spiritual platform by engaging in bhakti or devotional service. So false consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. This is called false ego. We are not products of material nature. We are what by nature?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Give yourselves a big hand. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand the situation. So if you're on the bodily platform, you cannot understand it. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life. And Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life. That is a preliminary activity for the transcendentals. So here Arjuna was put into that condition. He was conditioned by who? Huh? Krishna, give him a big hand. Yes. Krishna conditioned him. Krishna can do that. He put him on a false platform. Why? Why? Huh? Sorry?
So that you can give the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. Give him a big hand. So that Krishna can explain Bhagavad Gita through Arjuna to us. For us. That is why he conditioned Arjuna. And Arjuna had to play that part. He didn't even know that Krishna conditioned him. Because if he knew that, he wouldn't have did what he did. Right? One must become free from the bodily conception of life. That is a preliminary activity for the transcendental. So that is our activity, that we have to get free from this conditioned life. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body. You all know all this. You all are intelligent. We just repeat so that we can remember more. Mukti or liberation means freedom from material consciousness. That's what it means. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, the definition of liberation is given. Muktir itvanayata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness of this material world and situation in pure consciousness. That is what mukti or liberation means. We got people are fighting for freedom in this material world. Are they free? Huh?
No.
And freedom is made up of two words. What are the two
Free and
words?
gone.
Free and
Don't.
dumb. Are you free or you dumb? They think they are free. What does real freedom mean? For them, freedom means we must be free to enjoy our senses. Are you free? I mean, when you enjoy this material world, are you free? What? Thank you. Give a big hand. become more and more entangled in this material world. You become contaminated and struggle for existence. And that's what's happening to us. So all these freedom fighters, they are not really fighting for freedom. They are actually fighting to become more and more entangled in this material world. And that is the foolishness. Real freedom means to become free from material nature. That is real freedom. Is that clear? All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness, means the spirit soul which is within this body that is caught up. It is to awaken that. And therefore we find at the last stage of the Gita's instruction, that Krishna is asking Arjuna whether he is now in purified consciousness. In the last stage you will read that after Krishna explaining Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, then Krishna told Arjuna, now you decide whether you will surrender or you want to do what you want to do. What did Arjuna choose?
Surrender.
Yes, he surrendered to Krishna because Krishna revealed to him everything, plus he showed him his universal form and all that he is the Supreme Personality of God. And from that we have to understand that we have to be surrendered to Krishna, engage in devotion service to free ourselves from this bodily conception of life. Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instruction of the Lord. That is purified consciousness, not your own instruction. Do what you please. Of course, if you don't do what you please, you can do. The Lord does not stop you from that. Does not stop you from that. This is the whole sum and substance of purified consciousness. Consciousness is already there because we are part and parcel of the Lord. But for us, there is affinity of being affected by the inferior mode. But the Lord, being the Supreme, is never affected. That is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the small individual consciousness. So consciousness is already there, right, as explained here. And because we are part and parcel of the Lord, consciousness already exists because the Lord is Supreme Consciousness. And we being part and parcel, we are also conscious. So consciousness is already there, right? But for us, we become affected by the inferior modes. Why? The inferior modes are the modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance. Why we become affected? You can guess. You can try. Huh? Give him a big hand, please. Because we are tiny parts and parcels. Therefore, we are so tiny that we can be affected by inferior nature like this material modes. Therefore, when we shift our mindset from Krishna, that we want to become independent and act independently of Krishna, we become affected by material nature and we become covered by material nature. And then we struggle in this material world. But the Lord, being the Supreme, is never affected by material nature because He is a complete whole, because material nature comes from the Lord Himself. And if the material nature comes from the Lord Himself, how can material nature contaminate that Supreme Personality? Because it is His own nature. That is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the small individual souls. So know that tiny consciousness. How tiny are you? What's the size of the soul within this?
110,000 the tip of your
Huh?
head. 110,000 tip of
1/10,000 of the tip of your, give them a big hand, please. Yes. 1/10,000 of the tip of your hair. You are so tiny compared to the Supreme, complete whole, the Supreme Personality of God. So therefore the Supreme Lord never becomes affected by material nature, but we can become affected. That's the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of God. So we cannot try to challenge the Lord and try to be equal to Him. Because we try to be equal to Him, and that will be shown again in the Janmashtami festival. We will speak about it. There was a person who tried to be like God Himself, all powerful. Who was he? Huh? Kamsa. Kamsa in Janmashtami festival, that is Krishna. Kamsa was in, Ravana was in Ramayana. Yes. Yeah, Kamsa and Ravana, they want to be all powerful. But what happened at the end? They were defeated, devastated, destroyed by the Lord. So therefore we are not powerful. We have to remember this. The moment we think we are too powerful, we will get destroyed. There are many examples of that. Examples even in this, right now. Persons like Alexander the Great. Where is he? He's called great. Where is Hitler? He was conquering. He thought he had control. Where is he? Finished. So therefore, we have to be surrendered to the Supreme Person of Godhead and know that we cannot be equal to the Supreme. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Bhagavad Gita is so interesting. You can go on listening. Even if you know it. I'm actually enjoying it.